And the current local plan for Bath and North East Somerset has a quota of houses which should be built, and the current plans show the options that the council must choose from as to where that will be. A couple of the options are surprising. There's one called Keynsham West, which is basically on the escarpment of a hill, which is basically about a 1 in 4 slope throughout, from top to bottom. People will know that this is the other side of Leys Drive, looking towards Stockwood. And the other one is a large parcel of land for a fairly huge development in what we call, correct me, Edward, Corston Fields. Edward is coming in to talk to us for this particular show about this particular area of proposal. And it's called Corston Fields.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a completely green field site, apart from the local pub, which exists there, called the Wee Chief, on the A39 between the village of Corston and between what Keynsham people usually call the end of the Wellsway, where it meets the A39, the Two-Headed Man. So this would be a residential development where there is currently, in effect, nothing.
Well, not exactly nothing, Rick.
Of course.
Yeah, Corston Fields Farm is right in the middle of it. That's 320 acres of arable farm, farmed by the Addicots.
Right.
Gerald and Emily.
Now, this is a working farm.
It's very much a working farm, yes. A working and productive arable farm in one of the most beautiful settings around Bath.
Right, okay. Well, you're here because another resident in the area phoned up and asked if they could come and talk, and I suggested 1 or 2 things that we might say, and she came back to me and said she'd asked you, or had somehow got to you, to talk about this. Did the Addicots know about this before it was published? Do you know? No,
they didn't. Most definitely they didn't know about it. They only found out about it about 10 days ago, virtually from bumping into a neighbour.
So have they found out that they are going to be surrounded by a housing development, or indeed that their farm will disappear as a result of a housing development?
That's absolutely right. A shocking event for them to discover that this site is in the B&NES local plan on a speculative basis, really, to see if it might be suitable.
Just like that?
Just like that, yes. Whether the duchy, who are their landlords, knew about it beforehand, we don't know. But there was certainly no information from that direction either.
Right. So even if the duchy did know that this was possibly an option, they hadn't told their tenants?
No, they hadn't.
Okay.
I think it's remarkable, really, that no information had filtered through to the Addicots, and they naturally reacted by telephoning B&NES to see what the story was,
right,
and why aren't the local residents and others so drastically affected by it, better informed. And they were told that this was because B&NES hadn't got a budget for informing people.
for writing people letters.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's hardly a highly populated area.
No, indeed.
A dozen letters possibly would have done the
yes,
job.
Yes, quite. It would. It would indeed.
Right. Okay. Well, I can tell you that at the public meeting held in Keynsham with last Thursday night, the B&NES councillor in charge of looking after the local plan, the cabinet member, is it Mike McCabe? McCabe?
Yeah.
Who gave a very clear picture and outline of how the whole process works. And of course, what is on the board. What we're talking about now is a proposal which may or may not be ever be taken forward, or might even not even be, heaven forbid, a serious proposal. In any case, and he finished talking, and then it was a question and answer, and somebody stood up, and I wish I'd known who it was, and they said, so we're going to have another Poundbury in Corston. And the Duchy are fully supportive of this, and it will mean that the houses that are built there will be, zero emission carbon and all that kind of thing, and heat pumps and all the rest of it, and that the Duchy of Cornwall will insist that they are totally eco houses. Now, I don't know who that person was, but they seem to know something about it.
Well, I know that the Addicotts contacted the Duchy,
right,
and the Duchy's response was that they didn't know anything about it either, but that they wouldn't stand in the way. I think that's possibly their sort of stock answer to a situation like this. But whether it will be developed by the Duchy, of course, is a question to be answered a long way down the road, because we have to go through the whole local plan process.
Yeah.
And that'll take years.
Yes, that's right. We're not talking about anything that's going to be happening next month, or anything even remotely like it. Yeah. If they're tenant farmers, then I mean, do they have a period of having to be given notice if by any chance they've got to go? There must be properly all sorted out. And
I can't answer that question because that depends on the precise terms of the tenancy in place between the Addicotts and the Duchy, and of course that's a private commercial matter. But I'm sure that the Addicotts would be in a position to continue farming for some time.
Yeah.
The only question is for how long.
Yeah. If this continues to the next stage, which even then, of course, doesn't mean to say that it'll ever happen at all, but if it continues to the next stage after April the 8th, and that will depend on a public response to a degree, the only thing that the public can do to make any kind of impact on this is to provide evidence base which says everyone who lives in the area doesn't want this to happen. What in terms of their farm, Edward, is at stake here? I mean, this is a productive food-producing farm?
Yes, it is. And there's a huge amount at stake. The Addicotts have followed the government's recommendations that farmers should diversify their businesses, and they've set up a vineyard. Did you know?
I'm not sure if I've heard that or not, but probably I'm going to say I don't know. I didn't know that. No.
Actively productive vineyard, producing a delightful sparkling wine called Minerva, I think.
That's beginning to ring a bell.
Yes. That wine is for sale in local shops.
The Newton Farm shop, no doubt.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Along with other produce that comes from the farm. There's a very special crop grown on the farm called quinoa, which I must confess I'd only vaguely heard of before, but they have quite a large amount of the farm devoted to production of quinoa. It's an arable crop. It's a whole food, gluten-free, very stylish. A rice alternative, basically. To seed.
It's a growing thing.
Yeah.
Very trendy restaurants and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Normally, it's produced in South America, where the climate's a lot warmer. But of course, our climate is warming.
Yeah. And
the soils at Corston Farm are ideally suited to this. They're free-draining soils. Very suitable soils for growing quinoa, as it turns out, and also for growing vines, which was a a feature of the Roman times.
Yeah,
believe it or not. Vines were grown there in Roman times.
I think south of Bath, wasn't it, on the hills facing south?
Actually, on those fields at Corston Fields.
Oh, at Corston Fields, right. Okay. Right, Edward, we talked about this area at some point now. We've talked about the value of the farming that takes place on this site and the crops which are grown. I think we've done very well to get for 10, 11 minutes, and we haven't mentioned the greenbelt issue yet, because, of course, this is totally within a greenbelt.
Yes.
Area, the land.
Yes, it is totally within the greenbelt, and so are several other sites, of course, on the outskirts.
On the proposals, yeah.
Yes, so we have issues in common with those sites, and frankly, we wouldn't want to see them removed from the greenbelt. There's lots of reasons why they should stay.
Yeah.
Do you want to see the villages coalesce with each other? Do you want to see the rural landscape spoilt?
Yeah, exactly.
How would a site like this be accommodated for roads and infrastructure, services and so on, without harming the remaining greenbelt?
Yeah.
And what is it the thin end of the wedge? If one of these sites is removed from the greenbelt, then how many more will go?
Yeah, I mean there is talk around the place that, when it comes to fulfilling these housing quotas, the greenbelt itself, can be easily ridden over, but we'll see. Edward, you've kind of come in and brought attention to a piece of land, which is one of the stranger proposals on these blueprints for the coming local plan. Like everybody else and like all the other proposals, what is crucial is a public response. I mean, presumably almost everybody who lives in the area is going to be part of a public response on behalf of the actual local residents, such as there are any.
Well, I hope people will stand up and be counted.
Yeah.
And take the opportunity to express their views, and having thought through the implications.
Yeah. I mean, I don't suppose the people of Marksbury want to be joined to Corston. I mean, it doesn't. No,
actually, we do.
Oh, you do?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I am a resident of Marksbury, and I know many residents in Burnett and in Corston.
Yeah.
And we are actively joining together.
Oh, you're joining together for the campaign?
Yes.
I meant physically join together along the A Road.
Exactly the same point, really, because this development would join those villages together.
Yeah, pretty much. And of course, it does have the... I mean, for somebody, there is the little apple there, Bath Spa University and student accommodation as well as part of it.
Yes, there is, but is that what students want? Do they want to live out in the sticks, or do they want to live in the city?
Not the prices they have to pay for it these days, no.
It won't be cheap, whatever, will it?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Well, thanks ever so much for talking to us. Can I kind of remind anyone listening that wherever you live in the area, the South Gloucestershire consultation has now finished. It's only people in Baines who've still got the opportunity until April the 8th to put in opinions. That is the really important way of responding